What a game and what a coach. I am saying what a game and what a coach because it's probably the best match that I've seen this season that Chiefs has played in terms of how we're organized, going forward, defending, and everything in between. Before I continue with the post-match analysis, please make sure to like this video so that YouTube can spread it to more people like you. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed, in this channel we speak everything Kaizer Chiefs, previewing and reviewing matches. So if you're interested in that kind of content, make sure to subscribe. Now let's start with how Chiefs looked from the start. We're playing E4-2-3-1, obviously with Mphahlele and Ungezana as centre back pairing, Frosla left back and Uplom right back. Nothing wrong with that. I gave the reasons. Mabili so we weren't sure about image fitness yakhe, so it wasn't gonna be good ukuthi sivele sidlale a left back namhlanje kade sidlala Frosla all this time. And it double pivot here to be Cole no Nange. And it's surprising. We will talk about the tactics and how people were viewing this on Twitter and everywhere else, but it was a good midfield pairing. And also number 10 bedlala Dolly and kwa right wakhe kudlala Khama Billiat, and then kwa left kudlala Billiat, and then striker Castro. Now what was happening kulo line wesithathu labe ku Dolly, Billiat no Khama Billiat is that there was a lot of rotation, and that is actually a very good thing because it keeps the defenders guessing ukuthi hayibo kwenzakalani. And because if they show ukuthi okay ngimaku Dolly or mina ngimaku Billiat, then it makes it easy for them to always close down our players. But in this case ubona Dolly sengathi udlala as a winger, the next thing ubona Billiat udlala as number 10. Nangu Khama Billiat usegijima ngenhla, nangu Khama Billiat, we'll talk about him later. But you saw ukuthi there were those rotations, and it was just so refreshing to see Chiefs playing that rotational, positional rotation, which we see Guamayama teams that are playing good football as well. And I was really impressed. And Zwane did point out something about Legi level, that extra day, that one extra day the Chiefs got to practice was just so good and so helpful and so necessary, because we saw Guti there were some things that were added to our game that was not there before in the previous games. And it's just good to see Guti, this coach Arthur Zwane, who should be hired by the way right now and be given permanent and be made the permanent coach, because I mean 5 matches, I know we've lost 3 of them, and then we won one of those matches, and then we drew a match that we could have won against Sundowns, and it wasn't down to our tactics, but it was just down to players and their mistakes, like Ugutu Dolly missed the pen and Ugutu Castro passed to Billiat ngendlela passing ngayo. Yeah, but the tactics were spot on. And going value to indaba ka Billiat and that miss, you feel Uguti Billiat could have done better, and then someone could say he was running into the ball and the ground was slippery. And there's also another element, Uguti Castro should have passed the pass better. But anyway, that was just one of the signs we were able to get behind in midfield and the defensive Sundowns, which is good, because if you're not playing position, then you are playing you are using the spaces that the teams are leaving behind. But it was just so good to see that element. Oh, Chiefs is switching the ball wide, and then they're playing the ball back into 18. It was, man, I enjoyed it. And the next thing was the fact that Nange and Cole were so quick in closing down the Sundowns. Man. It's that area vele kunomkhulisi uyazi ukuthi uZwane uzodropa nangene lapha eswini at times bazokwenza positional overload. But bakungekho konke lokho, because anything that tried to go into the midfield, Nange was there. Anything that tried going inside, Cole was there. And as a result, bagcine sebe attacker ngapha kwiside likamdawu kwa right, because bebebona ukuthi eswini mabethi bangena eswini bavinjwa every time. And it was so refreshing to see ukuthi that midfield double pivot helped us so much. Abadlali, especially Nange, who have been critical of ukuthi, you saw good, okay, this player can do this player can destroy, this player is so good in disrupting anything else while in it, because in midfield if midfield is not going to be overrun, we saw that happening against Arrows. They just overran us in midfield and they dominated us, and that's how we ended up losing the match. And Sundowns couldn't do that today because those guys were just there. And another thing, everyone was helping. Even Castro, who I said was lazy in the previous match, which was, they were all coming back to help, to mark. And that's what you want to see in the team. Because in Skati, the team might not play a ball and fence and do all those things. But if you see effort, then that's the first and most important thing oiting a good team. So that effort from the players is very important, and it was refreshing to just see the team do that. We move on to Ungezana. I think I'm gonna say this again. Ungezana is very underrated. Ngezana is so vocal. Ngezana is so physical. Ngezana is so matured in how he plays the ball and how he organizes the people around him and how he's just intimidating to defenders. Konala Sirino, where he was just trying to fight Ungezana, and then Velek, obviously Ungezana almost got himself a red card. But besides that, he was solid and he keeps on producing these performances consistently. And Kambule was just lost. Kambule was so lost. I talked about how the third line, which was number 10, right winger and left winger, there was rotations. He was just so lost. He was just so lost. He was all over the place, and Valenty wasn't having a good game. So we move on to, within 30 minutes, Sundowns was already frustrated. That's why you saw Sirino. That's why you saw Zwane just getting angry, because probably Guabona, knowing the Chiefs, how we've been this season, they were just probably expecting what is just gonna be easy and straightforward for them, which it wasn't. I could even argue Uguti, if you can check XG, expected goals, Chiefs was expected to score more goals because of how we're playing. During the match, we created more chances, we just failed to finish them off. And that showed in Sundowns, frustrated. We didn't sit deep and wait for them because must press, the same thing happened. Kambule, kulandele Castro, alandele Dolly ngale no Billiat, best press on 4. Senza show guti, they don't try to even play. Best mabit bal se swing kono Nange no call, and then bal keep it wide, and then you are back again. Arthur Zwane, indlela organizing our team was just amazing. And there was that Vuma save. Oh dear. I know there are some people who are still saying, yes, Fulukun. And Vele Ukune has been like the best keeper Chiefs has had in the past 16 years. But Vele, let's face it, he's older now. And Vele, the sooner we get Vuma into a momentum yokuthi adlale and the rhythm yakhe azi ukuthi number 1 and isiqhubeke simbuild, the better, because lo mfana lo uyavimba lo. We have ukuvuma kunama elements egame yakho kumele improve njenge distribution, but as a short stopper he's just excellent. And futhi nakhona distribution yakhe today it was not half decent, it was decent, because you saw ukuthi the passes was trying to get out Mazamu Babamba on a counter. We did. And people will hate on the fact that the Chiefs was trying to play on transitions. Listen, there are phases of play, kono out of position, kono in position, kono transition, kono set pieces. Teams choose which way are we gonna play. For example, the Spurs, they play on a transition. They always wait for you to attack them and then they play on the transition. Or Man City, they play position. Or City basebenzisa space, or Liverpool basebenzisa space, and all that. And if we Chiefs in a match as big as this, since la match it has more position, we're gonna use that. Uguti masithole ibhola, we counter them, and that's brilliant, because akusizi ukuthi uphoqe ukudlala ibhola ngenkani elingeke livume. And the Chiefs is not like ibihleli vele emumva, as I've already mentioned, but they were just ready to beat Sundowns on a transition. It's just too bad ukuthi Kambule was off his game. And Twitter tactics, half time I went to Twitter just to see what people were thinking. Oh my god, our midfield is dead. I'm like, what are you talking about? Are we watching the same game? Because the reason why Sundowns did not score in the first half is because of how solid our midfield was. It's like, if you score nil-nil, it's not always the fact. Sometimes teams are just well matched, and as a result, no one scores. And that game was good. Sometimes but yeah, game. And the first half was that case. for both teams, the Chiefs and the Sundowns. It was just an end-to-end kind of a thing. And Sanqoma indaba kaZwane and how organized and how he organized the team. When that thing was happening, he even said in Nange post-match ukuthi Sundowns, one thing that they were doing, which we also did, bebefika badlala ibhola on the other side and then bal switch it to the other side. Bebedlala ama-diagonals. Nathi besiwadlala ama-diagonals. There's nothing wrong with ama-diagonal ball because a team, when the ball goes to the right, kuqala push umuntu oqala alandele, then the second centre back amlandele, third centre back, then fourth centre back, the fourth defender or right back. And then the next person in line okumele alandele is a winger. And Ukambula was supposed to do that, but he was just ball watching. He was just ball watching because umuntu ozokora, umuntu left back, umuntu omakana naye vele and vele wokumele utake in and ugade ukuthi bawuqhamuka. There is no way ukuthi wena you letting umuntu arane phambi kwakho because ubhizi ubuke lapha. It was just not good enough. And umuntu, when you are given a chance and then you do that, because Ukambula didn't just cost us when it came to offensively, which wasn't giving us anything. He also cost us when it came to Lelia goal because we obe ball watching, and as a result, it goal langed. And at that moment, abantu baqala ke baphatheka kabi, sabona nabantu bekhala TV. It was just sad, but it wasn't a matter of ukuthi team ibozile. It was a matter yokuthi Ukambula switched off. It was an individual error that resulted in a goal. Tactics up to that point were just spot on. And then Castro was taken off. I understand why this was the case because second half, Sundowns were quicker in like closing us down as well because first half, I guess they thought we were not going to play the ball. So we then played the ball, and then second half, the first thing they fixed was Woodlapa Pambili kumele baqale bavele bas close it down as quickly as possible. And they were doing that, and then Castro was starting to get in trouble and vele waphuma. What I would have expected though, it was a good change with Fakse, but I thought Ukambula was going to be the first one out, but I guess they gave him a chance. Yogut abe target man because my target man then bebezodlala those balls in behind and then I share my defender, and was given that extra 10 minutes just to see Uguti will he fit playing as number 9. So it's understandable why they left him. Ubes Costa, but Ubes Costa edlala as a winger, and many people available look at akangadlaliswa as a winger, akangadlaliswa as number 9, abe target man uzorana in behind, and was given low 10 minutes, but it still didn't give us anything. And when that happened, kuvele iThimbi Sikhathele vele around the 68th minute. Oh dear, Thimbi Sikhathele ngibonile lapha ukuthi I feel like it was not just about physical tiredness, it was also just that mental tiredness. Bengibukubhola ngihlelo langa, and I was telling him ukuthi, you know, the problem with conceding the goal bengisho kuyi first half, I hope Chiefs doesn't concede the goal, because if we concede the goal, I said the problem will be that sidlale kangaka kuzobashaya mentally, but then thank God ukuthi they were matured enough to even rise above that, although busubona ukuthi ngathi baphumile kancane egameni, but they still recovered. And the next thing was Unukovic came in. Now Unukovic, someone could have said Mashiyane bengadlala mhlawumbe udlala Billiat, but the thing is we kept on playing crosses, and if you're playing a cross benomuntu bengenama defender that will compete aerially, no Nukovic, because Nukovic is good aerially, but he didn't prove so because he didn't play what we expected him to play. You then say, why then make people cast from Nukovic? It's because we were checking to Kambule uzodlala kanjani, and when that tactical Kambule didn't work, then we choose good. See, we say like target man with fresher legs, because he will also provide you a physicality better than Castro, because Castro was bullied off the ball by Andy Lechal in the first half. I know Ujali Valley is Zinjota Jenkulu, but come on, you're gonna be bullied by Ujali off the ball. But Unukovic has that strength better than Castro. That's, I think, the only place Unukovic apita kono Castro. He's a bit more physical, and it's not easy to bully him off the ball. And with the pace, he's better also than Castro. So I understand why Castro was introduced, Unukovic, because then the Sotola ball, and it actually worked. Ama chances were tolile, so kulma ngakho later on. And on the 76th minute, Nange does the things, goes forward, and then he scores. And Arthur Zwane buzoqala igame ukuthi Double pivot oyedwa akuzolokhe pusha, and he did that exactly ukuthi wapusha waya phambili ku overload inam ukukhombisa ukuthi we were not scared to attack Sundowns. We were going out and we wanted a goal, and even after that it wasn't just ukuthi besisigcinile lapho besiqhubeka, and then we got a pen, and it was a penalty vele. In those moments, I know people, you probably watched the penalty ka Benzema against Man City. In those moments, I've never seen keeper phakathi nendawo and saving a penalty that's hit down the middle. And I feel like that's like the best possible spot to pick in a pressure situation njengaleya namhlanje, because vele most keepers, it has been said, good vele people who use their left foot usually go to the side where their leg swings. And vele Keagan did the very same thing. He hit it to his right, which was the goalkeeper's left, and the keeper was expecting that. Obviously, they know where the players hit the penalties, but that's how penalties go. We can't now turn on Udolu ukuthi missed the pen. It was just another individual error, but if we had scored that penalty, then we would have secured the 3 points Arthur in all the way. And then we got those chances Ganokovic that I alluded to earlier. He just missed both of them. Like, you are tall, you are brought in for that. That was the sole purpose of bringing Nukovic. Since it's Lalama cross, then it was head. Got another cross, he missed. We were just on top of Sundowns in the last 10 minutes, but then we did not deliver and do what we were supposed to do, and as a result we ended up drawing the match. And the nice thing is that even Mngqithi, I know he's the one who said, yeah, the Chiefs was playing and it could have gone either way. That game could have gone either way, because especially on the side of Chiefs, I would say, maybe I'm biased, but the way Chiefs played in the second half, even the first half, it was just beautiful to watch. And Zwane deserves the chance because of that. Because if we're gonna continue improve week by week, njengoba sibona iChiefs yenza, then we have a bright future ahead. What did you think of the match? Let me know down on the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. In this channel, we speak everything Kaizer Chiefs, previewing and reviewing matches. And until next time, remember, equals Alpelo Mo.